Hi everyone, welcome to the ventureLAB Chats podcast. My name is Sep Assadian. I'm the VP of the Founder Success, and I'm today the host for this podcast. And I'm also hosting two amazing entrepreneurs, Ben and Pragya from ApoSys. And we are here to learn more about their story, what they have done, and where they are going from here to be the most successful entrepreneurs in the world around the particular industry that they are tackling. That we'll learn about that one in a moment. Welcome, Ben. Welcome, Pragya. Thank you very much for your time to be with us. Definitely, we would love to learn about yourself first and ApoSys. So please.
Oh, thank
Ben.
you. Thank you for having us. My name is Ben. I'm the COO and data engineer at ApoSys. So my background is electrical engineering, specializing in signal processing, which was basically AI before AI. We did logic with signals. And I actually left high tech and started a low tech company, founded that, grew that, and exited in 2019. I then went to do business consulting, focusing on helping small businesses with leveraging their data. And that's where I got into the whole data science, machine learning, and eventually honed my expertise in machine learning and AI, and then joined the consulting firm. And through that consulting firm is how I met ApoSys. And Oliver, our CEO, managed to convince me to take a pay cut and join him. So very convincing guy.
Amazing. So definitely we should have a conversation with Oliver sometime soon.
Yes.
On that end. Pragya, please.
Yeah, so I am a data scientist and product manager at ApoSys. So I'm from Singapore, and I found Oliver here. And yeah, I always wanted to join a startup, see how things are in a startup environment. So my role here, I am working on the software side of things. So ApoSys is a hybrid software and hardware startup. And so I work on the data side of things, and I also have a lot of cross collaboration with different teams to ensure facilitate a good product development. Just talking to investors, clients, making sure everything is how it should be. So yeah, it's been nice working here.
Awesome. Perfect. Great. So what is ApoSys?
Well, ApoSys is an embodied AI company specializing in sensor fusion and integrating AI to develop custom solutions for customers. Mm-hmm. An example of this is our Apollo Sense, which is an autonomous train track monitoring unit. So think of it as a robot that goes underneath a train, and it scans the track as the train moves, and it assesses for geometry and detects maintenance needs. Mm-hmm. So we use AI to process the images taken to determine if there are features that needs to be looked at. So it saves a lot of labor. A lot of train tracks are in remote areas, and it's hard to get people to do walking inspections. So that's what ApoSys does.
Interesting. So can you walk us through the particular markets that you're targeting right now with ApoSys here in Canada or abroad?
Yes. So the obvious customers in Canada, because it's a bit of a duopoly, would be CN/CP. But throughout that span of vast rail, there are all branching rails that go north and south. And that's where we will start. So someone like in Barrie or in Winnipeg, we would cater to the smaller rail operators, and we're in works with them to help them scan their tracks and deliver metrics that lets them take action on if certain things needs to be done. So in turn, it saves them a lot of money through labor, and to be honest, the results are much more thorough than a human inspector, because a human can only measure so many times per meter, whereas this robot scans it 60 times a second. So you can't compare how thorough the results are.
Awesome. No, that's great. And tell us a little bit more about who else in this market, and then where you're standing. What differentiate you in this market that everyone like CN want to work with you?
Well, traditionally, the solutions are very large. It's an entire train like basically a cart, and it has to be on a train. And if you think about the logistics of that, just moving that, like shipping a train, like an entire train somewhere, is not easy. So we leverage our highly integrated skills. We create custom PCB boards, write custom firmware to integrate all the sensors. And more importantly, we use AI to filter out data that we don't need. So we don't end up with like a pallet of hard drives. So if you think about it, if you're taking 60 pictures every second and you've got 4 cameras, you're in the range of something like 3 gigabytes a second. And we need AI to make these decisions. Is this picture interesting? No, we don't. We do not save it. And that's how we keep the form factor small. So that's how we distinguish ourselves from the competitive services that are out there.
Yeah. And I think what's exciting is that we try to cover the full vertical, right? So everything from data collection to reporting and visualization. So it's a very end-to-end solution that we can provide. And because we have the hardware, we have a dashboard and a software. So that really allows us to do in-house development, give high precision, very efficient results. So I think, that's what makes us unique.
Amazing. No,
I'll add to that is that when we're integrated like that, the integration cost is drastically lowered. Like if you think about it, you have 100 engineers from one company and another 100 engineers from just try to imagine arranging a Zoom call.
Yeah, makes sense.
So providing the solution from hardware to data to AI to dashboard, that eliminates so many of those, the friction that just creating that Zoom call, like I said. So it actually lowers the integration costs, which if you look at the traditional solution right now, which you need someone to do the hardware, you need someone to do the software, then you need someone to do and they don't talk.
Yeah.
And that's how you end up with a pallet of hard drives, right?
Interesting. So for someone that only interested to learn about the hardware as an audience for this podcast, say, and might not know a lot about what you explained around that one, if you want to put a number on that one, we are talking about the millions of dollars saving, can we say, in a year?
It's roughly, according to a McKinsey report, it's about a 23% per kilometer of maintenance. So it sort of depends on the size of the rail network. Like if you have 10,000 kilometers and you're spending, say, $100,000 per kilometer every year, that it becomes quite staggering. So we're looking in the 20 to 30 millions in saving per year.
Wow.
And that's for one of these devices.
Exactly. No, that's amazing. Perfect. So we are here because you are part of the Hardware Catalyst Initiative. And the Hardware Catalyst Initiative is our signature program that we designed here at ventureLAB to support companies, passionate entrepreneurs in the hard tech. And that's why you are here. But I would love to kind of today hear your story, why you decided to be part of this program and what you have already received from that one.
Yeah, so I think initially we applied for the hard tech pitch competition because ApoSys did start as a hardware company. We really pride ourselves because of our hardware unit. And even though now we have transitioned into like a data as a service and integrating the software side of things, that pitch competition actually led us to HCI to begin with. We've gotten a lot of support. Like we have advisor, Warren, he's really helpful. He gives us a lot of insights on connections, business, and even the technology side of things. And honestly, the facilities are great. So I think that hardware side of things brought us to you guys, and it's been a great experience so far.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that one. As someone, I have a big team providing that type of support, and I can say 150% in to support the entrepreneurs in that area. I'm glad to hear that work, and definitely looking forward to work with you guys through that program and beyond that. For sure. But let's kind of to the shift the gear and a little bit learn about where are you guys now and where you're heading.
Yeah.
it's actually a very exciting time, and sort of why I joined the company, because as I mentioned, I took a pay cut. And you must wonder why. Are you not that bright? So when I was consulting with ApoSys, I could sense that they were at the point where the MVP was being deployed. Mm-hmm. So the initial prototype was being deployed, but I saw some holes in their data. Mm. And I managed to provide a solution for Oliver. And that's when he decided that he wanted to bring me on board to help take this through the final mile and get to that first contract. So we're at the phase where we're at the seed stage, but we have a functioning prototype that is deployed. Mm-hmm. So we're on the cusp of our first contract. So that's a very exciting time. And for ventureLAB investors, probably reach out to Oliver, and because the timing is really good. This is when we're in trials and we're poised to take substantial market share. So the next steps is scaling production, mm-hmm. Increasing the size of the engineering team because now we got to iterate, and do them what they call March of Nines, mm-hmm. where your accuracy starts to hit 0.99999, and really try to corner the market, mm-hmm. and become, and as Pragya mentioned, part of the form factor being small makes it easy to deploy. Like from my low-tech business, we ship furniture over North America to 250 locations. So we purposely designed this to fit on a pallet, on a custom pallet. So instead of dragging a train somewhere, mm-hmm. I could hire a third-party freight company to ship this to someone. So, and what happens is when you're able to deploy these devices into the market, you start to create that data flywheel, mm-hmm. where we're the first to grab all the data. That allows us to build better models, and better models makes a better product, and that brings more users. So we're creating this data flywheel that will hopefully create a big enough moat for us, mm-hmm. to hopefully take us public. Oliver promised to buy me a Lexus if we take his company public.
Okay, no, we have it on the record.
Yes, for the record,
Oliver.
For the record, Oliver.
there is a Lexus that we were talking about, that one. Amazing. So now we have another king in the house. So in the past we call it cash is a king. Now the data is a king.
Yes.
So that's interesting to see how you envision that one. And when you're talking about expanding the market, are you still consider that North America is your primary market, or you are considering the Asia and Europe? And what is the difference as you see expanding globally for a company that picked a really niche market, industry-wise, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think Ben can provide a bit more insights on the different markets like Asia and Europe. But what's exciting about our technology is, as niche as we have started off with, which is the railway industry, that was the first use case, our technology is so versatile that mm-hmm. when I joined, it was at a time where, our technology can easily be used for road monitoring solutions, right? Dams, any kind of infrastructure, bridges, ice roads. So that really helps us to expand into the different markets that we could go into. And yes, we did start, our focus is in the North Americas, mm-hmm. for the railway side of things, but we are talking to, Taiwan, Spain, and because this infrastructure monitoring for aging infrastructure is a problem that every country faces, yep. right? So yeah, maybe you can give a little bit more insights on the different.
Well, as I've been trying to point out, that we're actually an embodied AI solutions company. So as the COO, it's also my responsibility to expand it beyond the rail mm-hmm. Market. It just happens that the rail monitoring market was our first product market fit. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, when you have just a bunch of sensors and a brain, it's basically a human. So It's basically we're able to teach humans to do different things. So as Pragya mentioned, we're in talks with different rail companies in different regions, but we're also expanding into other industries. Like we have a mining solution where, it's the same sensors, but now it's more of a robotic setup where it's locating where the mining equipment is and creating a path mapping. So same sensors, different solution. So my job is to try to expand or leverage our technology, our know-how from the rail track mesh monitoring service and expand that into other industries.
Interesting. So the reason I asked that one because I had a chance to talk one of our board members named Mark Miller, and Mark Miller running the multi-billion-dollar software company called Valoris, and he has one kind of the specific advice for the hard tech entrepreneurs, and it said, pick your niche market. You don't need to go big. You need to do well. And that's a reason that I want to kind of see that where you guys heading to. And as if you pick that railway industry or say mobility industry, on that one, do you want to stay or do you want to kind of expand? It seems that you have a plans to continue on that one and also go bigger. And that's great to hear about that one. No, that's fantastic to hear on that one. And recently you have received some money from Engine, correct?
Yes, correct.
So tell us about that one.
Yeah.
What you supposed to do?
Oh, that's really fun. We're basically adapting our mining technology to mine the moon.
We're going to the moon.
You're going to the moon. Okay, moonshot idea, getting to the moon.
It's a real long shot. It's very early in development, but it's a lot of fun because we have to simulate 1/6 gravity.
Okay.
Now that doesn't have a whole lot of effect on the mechanics of the unit, but it may have effects on things like LiDAR. We don't know how it reacts, so we're only able to simulate the physical aspect of that with something like Unreal Engine, which is a game engine. But the game engines are so well suited for like simulating gravity. It like actually takes care of all of the mechanics for you. But the biggest challenge on the moon is actually regolith, which is that fine dust that comes from like billions of years of being hit with stuff. So we simulate this just by throwing a lot of dust, iron filings and things and it absolutely destroys algorithms. So when your LiDARs can't see, it's a physical barrier, right? So it's very, very challenging. And we're looking at things like static repellent. I think SpaceX's suits are looking into that too, where they sort of put a light charge on the material to try to repel the regolith. So it's very early and it's a very fun project. But
sounds like
someone's got to start looking into it because somehow everyone wants to get to the moon and set up a base there. I don't know what really they're going to do there, but we can't fall behind as a country. So
exactly, even for fun.
It's
having another wonderland there. Why not?
Yeah.
It's very inspirational to be even thinking about something like that.
That's fantastic. So interesting. Have anyone in your industry thought about it or did something close to what you guys now trying to do?
Not that I know of. Like everything I follow is with someone like SpaceX, and no. Even them, they haven't even considered mining the moon. I think someone of interest, maybe like a mineral company, or I really don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, because I have heard about the couple of companies that try to manufacture the pharmaceuticals in the space, but not particularly landing on the moon and do something there. Just do something in the space for reasons on that one, but just selling something on the moon. That's great. Fantastic. Okay, so based on all of this amazing work that you're working on that one, that expansion opportunities, you thought about it, and the position the company has right now, it seems that everyone should come, knock the door, and talk to you and Oliver about the investing in the company, correct?
I would think so because, again, I took a pay cut to join this company.
So definitely you deserve.
I provide the viewpoint from a venture capitalist. Yeah.
Perfect. So the reason I'm asking that one, because we here at ventureLAB also running a network called Hardtech Investor Network. And the purpose of that network is connecting the startups, high potential, scalable startups in the hard tech and the deep tech to the investors that understands the patient money that we are talking about getting to the moon. It might not happen tomorrow, next year. We are talking about years after the R&D and development and get somewhere that make it work on that end. And having that mindset is a key for having the investor that strategically understand and also have a patient for being with you for that long on that end. So if you're an investor and if you are looking for opportunity, ApoSys might be the next opportunity that you don't want to miss around that one. So reach out to Ben or Oliver for that one for sure on it. So let's kind of do the shift gear and talk a little bit about you two. Ben, you mentioned that you came from the years of experience in high tech, low tech. So say maybe if you have opportunity to talk to yourself 10 years ago, 10 years younger, what would you say to yourself?
Probably be bolder, sleep more. That's really important. But I think just being more decisive in your moves. I think sometimes as an Asian upbringing, you're almost taught to just become an engineer, become a doctor, and get a good office job, but I sort of didn't follow that rule because I was the fourth child, and my brother became an engineer. My sister is a CFA, CPA. So I had room to break the mold, and I did. And I did my duties. I was an engineer for about 2 years, but then just completely went off the rails and started an import business. So yeah, I would just say even be bolder, like just go hard into pick something you like, identify a market that sounds fun, interesting, and just dive into it. Because once you dive into it, that's when you will see the opportunities. You don't see it from afar. It's when you're in the thick of it, then you will see where all the arbitraging can be done, where all these little inefficiencies that you can identify and take advantage of.
Yeah. Interesting. That's great. Sleep more.
Sleep more.
Yeah, definitely.
That's my weakest point.
The same here, sir. I totally hear that one. Pragya, what about you?
Yeah, I think 10 years younger, I was barely a teenager. But yeah.
Say so 5 for you.
Okay, so I think I would tell myself to be more curious.
Okay.
I think there has been so much going on in the world in terms of tech advancements, and it's almost impossible to catch up with every trend. But I think being curious is like the first step to take to, find something that you're interested in or that you're passionate about. I'm still, figuring that out, like what really interests me. And I think with that, I want to be more curious about what's going on. I have really good chats with Ben here and then, and he's just telling me about this is happening here, and that really excites me already. So yeah, I want to continue being curious.
Okay, interesting. No, that's great. So I can say, Ben, you and I coming from the generation that AI was not even considerable under the radar. Some people have heard about that one, signal processing, as you said. I had a roommate that he was a PhD of signal processing when I was doing my MBA, and I learned about all of these kind of the noise and then all the kind of the data distraction and everything that time, but never thought about how that industry and the technology will evolve to what is it. And you coming from the generation that they're born and raised with the kind of all the data, and then got to the kind of the professional life, AI was there.
Yeah.
On that one. So from each of you, your perspective, how do you envision the future of the ApoSys particularly, and your role in this industry that you are playing with all of this development around AI? And we know hard tech still is a key component to be the home for AI, but in general, how do you envision the future of the technology that you are in and your role in that one?
Yeah, so because right now ApoSys is in the stage we're continuously collecting data and we're refining that, right? And I only see more and more data collection as, the months and years pass by. So I think when there is enough data and enough good data that we have processed, that's when things get fun, right? Because your data analysis, your machine vision, everything along those lines, you start seeing trends, you start seeing predictive analytics, right? And I think that's where I'm excited to transition into. So just, seeing all the futuristic predictions that we could make, I think that would be super fun. And for us to do that, you need the data. So that's the key point. That's where the hard tech comes into play.
Interesting.
And yeah, just more machine vision, more high precision data, more analysis. That's where I'm excited about.
Perfect. And you, Ben?
Well, I'm very excited with what, as Pragya mentioned, we're also integrating satellite data and climate data to see the effects on tracks. So I'm excited for the advance of predictive models, whether it's climate or ground deformation, and incorporating that into our sensor suite and modeling for the effects of rail. But at the same time, from the hardware side, we are also excited about the trend of all these custom inference chips that are coming out, like from Grok, and I'm sure you guys are exposed to the latest neural net chips or neural net specific chips. So those chips will allow us to further even integrate our product in the future and provide real-time onboard filtering that's even more efficient. So yeah, it's a very exciting space, from models to hardware to algorithms. I think we'll all be unemployed at some point.
Good to know.
Sorry, bad news.
Bad news on that one, but definitely there are some plans to pay people for just not do nothing.
Yes, universal income.
Exactly, universal income. It's coming. Who knows about that one? But no, that's fantastic to hear your thoughts about the future of this technology around that one. My last question, it's about. Let's kind of to break it in 2 points. One, it's that if you want to kind of give an advice to a young entrepreneur, want to start something on hard tech and AI, the integration of the hard tech and AI, which is a really interesting era to be on that one. What would be your first advice?
You want to start? You're younger, so.
I would say, okay, because hard tech and AI, these are two things that could be applied to any industry. So I think the first step would be to identify which industry are you most excited about and which industry actually needs this right now. So the why now is important, because some of the industries, they could need it eventually, some needed it in the past, but we're looking at which industry is needed now. Once you've figured out that industry, things will automatically start falling into place. And, you have to be passionate about it, because hard tech and software, your AI, you're doing everything. You're covering all bases, and that takes time. So because the process is so long, you really need the passion to carry on and go full through. And I think that's what I admire that Oliver has. Ben has it, the team has it. It's slow, but it will happen, right? So yeah, I think that's the advice I would give.
Awesome.
I think to elaborate on that is like Pragya says, choose something you're passionate about to dive into, because with passion, naturally that brings other elements, like being OCD about something, having the grit to push through something. So passion is an easy way to summarize all that, having curiosity, grit, and OCD to push through something, because starting a venture is not easy. The failure rate is very high. I've seen my competitors fall on the wayside, and was very fortunate to be one of the surviving businesses that made it through. And that came from just having sheer grit. Like, there were nights where you say, we're losing so much money, we can't do this. How do you go on, right? So you have to have conviction in your vision do you know this should be right? And I'm going to push through and show everyone that this is the way it should be. And it takes a lot. So
exactly. And I love how you define the passion about the curiosity, greed, and OCE. It's a kind of the phenomenal framing for that one. And I do appreciate that new terminology that kind of you define for passion. I will use it if it's okay.
That's fine.
For sure, for the future to define the passion about that one. And the second part of my last question is that you gave the advice, but sometimes also tapping on the other's wisdom, it's also saving a lot of time and money. And I believe time is more important because that's the only type of resource that you might never get back on that one. Do you have any recommendation for people that listening to our podcast and watching our podcast about a book, a podcast, whatever kind of to inspire you to be on the path that you are right now, or helping you to stay passionate about what you want to kind of do bigger, bolder for ApoSys and for your personal career?
Yeah.
I think it's just pick something that interests you and read. I think reading a lot just helps you. One, it's a mental break, but reading, especially if you speed read through a book, is a great way to pick someone's knowledge that has spent maybe a lifetime condensing all their knowledge into a book. And you can condense that further down into like 15 minutes of skimming through. Like there are techniques to skim through books. And from a podcast perspective, I love listening to the All In guys. Shamath being a schoolmate of mine.
Interesting.
So he's done much better than me, but
you're doing great, man.
But yeah, the level of conversation between those guys, and they're all successful. I think that's a good start because it gives you a wide breadth of topics, and you can pick on their reasoning as to. And these are smart guys, right? They're all successful, and it's a broad range of topics. So reading and All In podcasts.
Awesome. What about you?
So I'm not a reader.
Okay.
I don't usually read books, but I do want to say that I don't have a particular podcast to recommend, but I would say whatever you listen or whatever you read, be consistent in it, because once you're not consistent, you don't develop that habit. It's very easy to just not follow through with it. So yeah, like Ben said, read something that interests you, that keeps you engaged, and that's a very good first step to start this journey.
Awesome, great, and definitely you should listen to the ventureLAB chats as one of the podcasts that you will learn a lot from people like Ben and Pragya here. On that end, any final word?
No, just thank you for having us. It's a great discussion to sort of expose what we're doing at ApoSys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
For sure. No, thank you for coming. And
yes, thank you for having us here. I think this is a great opportunity. And I think we had a great time doing this podcast.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much again for joining us here today. I'm Sep Assadian, and we are here at ventureLAB Chats podcast. Definitely, it was a pleasure to having this amazing conversation. And if you are a hard tech entrepreneur or you are passionate about that one, you know where to go. ventureLAB.ca. It's our website. You can learn a lot about what we can offer as an accelerator incubator, and the only one in Canada. So let us know if you're interested to have a chat. We'll love to have this conversation with you. Thank you again and have a lovely day.